All right, chapter 2. The second I got home from the stable, I went straight upstairs to change out of my sweaty clothes. As I peeled off my socks, the garage door thundered shut. My parents were off to D.C. again for another work dinner of Dad's. He was always having to meet with potential new clients for the tech firm he worked at. It looked like it would just be me and my sister tonight. I headed into the bathroom to splash water on my face. Danielle's door was wide open. She stood in front of her mirror, brushing blush onto her pale cheeks. When I walked past her on the way back to my room, she called, "How's Nori?" I let out a huff. Not so great. She ditched our sleepover. Uh-oh. I don't have time to go out on the trampoline right now, but do you want to talk about it? Not really. I sat on my bed and tapped on my phone. I hadn't been on social media a ton lately, with Nori technology free until this morning, and Rachel and Hannah so far away. One day last week, I'd Googled the directions to their new house just to see how far it was and found out it would take 42 hours to drive there. But even though I had no idea when I'd see them again, there was no reason not to say hi, especially since Nori barely had 10 seconds to hang out with me. I scrolled through Hannah's pictures. Whoa. She and Rachel had on even more makeup than Nori. They stood there smiling in strappy bright sundresses with matching sandals that showed off their perfect pedicures. Who were those other girls in their pictures? Had they already replaced us? I got off Hannah's page and clicked on Nori's. She must have updated her pictures the instant she got her phone back. She was with her friends from camp, and in a few of them, but most were with Luke. And she had the exact same look as at the barn. I put down my phone and cleared my throat since it had gotten all thick and heavy. I stared at my unpolished toes, then hurried into Danielle's room. She turned away from her reflection. "Did you change your mind about talking? I have a sec, but Sean's about to come over." She added a tiny bit of mascara and eyeliner, making her big brown eyes look even wider. Then she began messing with her hair as though it needed fixing, but it so totally didn't. Not when it already had that pep or bounce or whatever special quality people with super straight hair like mine might try for, but never quite get. "Your hair's already perfect," I said. "You don't need to do anything to it." She shrugged. "I don't know about that, but thanks for the compliment. What's up?" I looked at the posters of Broadway musicals scattered over her teal walls while I tried to figure out what to say. "Mom and Dad will be gone a long time. Can Sean wait a few minutes?" "Why?" "I thought we could have a little sister bonding time. We haven't hung out in forever." She gave me an understanding nod. "I have been working a lot lately." Her phone pinged. She glanced at it and jumped up. "Sister bonding time sounds great, and let's definitely do it, but Sean's 5 minutes away, and he just texted that he got us a reservation at Maximilian Place." That was the really cool restaurant at the top of the fancy hotel at the mall. The place to go for couples, or so I'd heard. Since I hadn't exactly been there, I turned to leave the room. "Listen, Julia, we will do this tomorrow. Mom said something about her and Dad going out on a date night, so we'll have the house to ourselves again, okay? But right now, I've got to go." Just like that, I got ditched for the second time in one day. I followed my sister downstairs and watched her practically sail out the door, then glanced at the counter where Dad had left me a note in all caps, the way he always wrote. "Pad Thai in fridge. Have a good night. Should be back by 11. I served myself a plateful, not even bothering to heat it up. Even my parents had more of a life than me. When I finally rolled out of bed in the morning, Mom mentioned that it was about time I got my school supplies, so we ran by Target after lunch. Once we'd checked everything off my list and gotten back in the car, she turned to me. "All ready for your first day of 8th grade?" I watched the windshield wipers wave from side to side, knocking little drops of rain out of their way. Did I need to buy anything else? No. Was I ready for school to start? Not a chance. But I wasn't about to tell Mom that and have her get all worried about me. I just shrugged. Our new principal emailed the schedule for tomorrow, and it sounds like we'll be mostly in meetings. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and let out a sigh. "We'll hardly have any time to get our rooms ready, so I'll need to get started on mine today. Want me to drop you off at the pool before I go? It's supposed to clear up soon." If Rachel and Hannah had still been here, I'd have definitely said yes. I don't really feel like it. Mom wrinkled her forehead. You sure? Don't you want to meet Nori? Not after yesterday. I shook my head. I'm not in the mood to swim. Any chance you're in the mood to help me with my room? She asked. Even though it sometimes seemed like Mom was trying to get me to do her work for her, it wasn't like I had anything better to do. I guess. Great. She put on her blinker to change lanes. Let's head straight there. My old elementary school, where Mom still taught, was only a few miles from our neighborhood. To get to it, we had to drive down a winding country road, past cow pastures and a few houses where incredibly lucky people got to keep horses in their yards. As Mom and I pulled into the school parking lot, a sudden glimmer of sunlight shone through the windshield, and we both pushed down our visors. I still remember the first time you came to help me get my room ready. You knew exactly how you wanted to arrange everything, and you were only starting kindergarten. Mom gave me a big smile. I totally remembered that too. I smiled back at her instead of looking where I was going and managed to step in a puddle when I got out of the car. At least it was warm enough that I could take off my shoes rather than sloshing around in wet sneakers. Mom glanced at my bare feet. Good thing it's summer casual around here. Just don't let the principal see you like that. While she checked in at the office, I hurried down the hall before anyone could tell me to put on my shoes. Mom's classroom always looked so strange over the summer with the desks stacked against the wall, and it smelled like pine-scented cleaner. The carpeted area where the kids sat was covered with little marks from the vacuum, and the boxes from her supply order were stacked on one of the tables. I grabbed a box and used scissors from Mom's desk to open it. What should we listen to? Mom asked when she came in. I've got it. I pulled up a playlist on my phone and cranked the volume. Mom and I danced around as we unpacked some of the supplies she'd ordered. Construction paper in all different colors, a set of small whiteboards and erasers, and tons of pencils with smiley faces and stickers that said, "Way to go," and "Star Student." Everything was fine until Mom sat down at her desk and took a long sip from her water bottle. Can you stick all the rewards in the bottom drawer of my supply cabinet and put the construction paper away? She asked. I couldn't help rolling my eyes. Her stuff always had to be so perfect in her classroom. Like the orange papers had to be with the other orange papers. And you'd better not mix in any green. But at our house, especially once school started, things piled up. And it was like she didn't even notice. While she arranged her new pens in the apple-themed holder on her desk, I squashed the last box flat like I'd already done with the others. Want me to take these outside to the recycling? Mom nodded. Yeah, that'd be great. I'll get started on some paperwork. I grabbed the pile of cardboard and carried it around to the giant blue bin at the edge of the parking lot. It was strange to think that this totally deserted place would be filled with kids, teachers, and parents so soon. The sun had gotten stronger while Mom and I were inside, and I glanced over at the empty playground equipment. Maybe I'd take a little break and scroll through my phone. It felt good to be outside in the fresh air away from the cranked-up air conditioning. I leaned against the side of the building and watched a video of a kitten and a monkey chasing a ball together. Just before it was over, a text came through. Nori, at the pool, you coming? She hadn't forgotten me after all. I hurried back inside. Me, as soon as I can. A little while later, after Mom and I set up all the desks in rows and I explained that I felt like swimming after working up a sweat, she dropped me off at the pool. I put my pass in the box on the sign-in table out front and hurried across the cold cement floor of the dressing room, almost wiping out on a slippery spot in my rush to finally spend some time with my best friend. It was just after 4 o'clock, and it was so bright out that it was almost hard to see. I'd already slathered sunscreen all over myself, but maybe Nori and I would stay in the shade. Or not. I didn't care where we sat. It was just great that we were getting together like we used to. Hi, Julia. I looked toward the pool. Nori was sitting at the edge of the water, holding hands with a guy with curly blonde hair and freckles. What was Luke doing here? I dug my fingernails into my palms. My face suddenly is hot, as if I'd been out in the burning sun for hours. They both watched me head in their direction. I tried not to stomp as I forced myself to keep moving toward them. On the way, I paused to hurl my towel and bag onto the lounge chair next to Nori's stuff. Then I slipped off my flip-flops, pulled my t-shirt over my head, and flung it down with everything else. Nori had a huge grin on her face, like this wasn't awkward at all. Julia, this is Luke. He gave me a quick wave. Hey, "Did you in Miss Beck's math class with me last year?" Yeah." My voice sounded thick and weird. I'd talked to him exactly once to borrow a pencil. I sat down at the side of the pool about a foot away from him and dangled my legs in the cool water. "So what's up?" he said. "Not much." "Luke's cousins live in Hawaii," Nori said, looking back and forth from me to him. "He got to see them in Maui the week before we started camp." Luke nodded. "The waves there are pretty good." "And Julia just got back from visiting her grandparents in Florida." It was obvious Nori was trying to help us get a conversation going. "Cool," Luke smiled. "What part?" "Central Florida, not too far from Orlando." I bumped my heels against the edge of the pool. "Oh, you weren't at the beach?" Luke jerked away to avoid a bee that flew past. I glanced over at the lounge chair. Had I remembered to put in my EpiPen? I'd been in such a hurry to get here that I may have forgotten to grab it. No, but my grandparents live close to a lake. We don't ever swim in it, though, since it's full of alligators. Yeah, I wouldn't either, Nori said. Luke was really lucky he got to go snorkeling in Maui. The water there's clear enough to see down to your feet. The colors of the fish are incredible. Luke dodged the bee again. It flew away from him and circled way too close to my face. I jumped up and hurried over to check my bag. "You okay?" Nori asked. I grabbed my phone. "I forgot my EpiPen. I'll have to see if my mom can bring it." Nori turned back to Luke. "Julie got stung by a wasp last year and was so allergic that she had to go to the hospital. She has to be pretty careful outside in the summer now." I called Mom and met her around front. When I got back to the pool, Luke and Nori were sitting on one of the lounge chairs, laughing about something on her phone, their heads close together. Where was I supposed to sit? And what was I supposed to do? I walked toward them. As I walked toward them, a tall, skinny sixth grader who lived a couple blocks down from me yelled, "We're starting up a game of sharks and minnows. Anyone want to play?" A few other middle schoolers and a kid I didn't recognize were lined up on the edge of the pool. Nori and I always used to join in games like that. I glanced at her. No way would she want to be around all that splashing. It would ruin her makeup. "Go ahead if you want," she said. Did she want me to so she could spend more time alone with Luke? My throat got all tight, and I rushed over to where the other kids were waiting. The lifeguard blasted his whistle right at me. Practically everyone turned to stare at the shrill sound. "You there," he said, pointing at me. "No running in the pool area." I slowed to a walk, my face burning hotter than before. "Okay, everybody ready? Let's get started." The kid organizing the game kept shouting like we weren't all just a few feet away. I held on to the side of the pool like everyone else, but I didn't exactly feel like swimming across. "Go!" he yelled. The pool became a blur of arms and legs and splashing water. I'd have to let go of the edge and risk getting kicked if I wanted to make it to the other side. Was it even worth it? I took a deep breath, then glanced over at Nori and Luke. By the time I turned back to the game, everyone else had already made it across, so I was automatically out.